Gotta catch 'em all. If all is Zzzs. Hello everybody, it's Scott here, and we are playing through Pokémon Sleep. It's available on iOS and Android, and I'm currently playing through on my iPhone. Now, this has been out for a couple of weeks already. I've been playing it through every day thus far, and because of the nature of the app, it is slightly different. I can't give you a full live hands-on. Instead, I've been recording footage over the last few weeks, putting it together, and I'm just going to talk you through what on earth is actually going on. So the premise is we are doing research for Professor Neroli. He wants to look into the sleeping patterns of one of the most famous sleeping Pokemon, being Snorlax. But don't get too attached to this Snorlax because it changes every week. So we say hello to a new one on a Monday morning. That's our volunteer for the week. And then we say goodbye to it on the end of Sunday, bringing in a new one so that we can study this one as well. And the way we look after this Snorlax as it sleeps throughout the day is by feeding it. It has a very high metabolism for a Pokemon that doesn't move and needs a flute in order to shift it. So we can feed it by either giving it berries or by cooking it a meal with some ingredients. And each different Snorlax has its own different preference. They have a different preference for berries that they like, and they have a different preference for what type of food that they like. And we can cook by tapping on the pot, throwing in a whole load of ingredients and auto cooking, or we can choose which ingredients we want in order to make a specific recipe, and if they like it, then they will wolf it down, and we can feed them 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you definitely want to make sure you do that because it increases their Snorlax score. And at the top of the screen, you can see their Snorlax score go up. The more berries that they eat, the more meals that they eat, it will go up and up. And when it does go up, they eventually level up. And when they do, they go up to great, they go up to ultra, they go up to master rank, and we get better rewards. They get bigger, and we have more opportunities to explore different areas. But where does the sleeping come in? Well, Snorlax is going to be sleeping throughout the day. We can forget about them. But when we go to sleep, we can actually add to the research. So at night, we can click on the sleep button, lay the phone face down on the bed, and with the phone's internal microphone and accelerometer, it will measure how we actually sleep. And then the next day, we can look at a graph of how we've done, and we get broken down into 3 distinct sleep styles, and that is on the gradient of how deep we go into sleep. And what's nice is that you can see at what different times you happen to be in that deep REM, or you were on that surface level sleep. And also it gives you recordings of the noises that you made in your sleep. So it's shuffling about, if you were coughing, if you were talking in your sleep, you'll be able to see that as well. So with this sleep tracking, you get a sleep score. Now that sleep score is dependent on how close you were to the bedtime that you set for yourself, and also how many hours of sleep you got. 8 hours is a good time. You get 100 points for that. I tend to be around 7.5, so the highest I've got is 86. But this number for your sleep score is important because when you finish your research, you then multiply that sleep score that you've attained with the Snorlax score, and that becomes your Drowzee score. And the higher that number is, the more Pokemon will come to your camp, the rarer the Pokemon will come to your camp. And this is where the gotta catch 'em all type of gameplay comes in, because you want to build up as best team as you can. You want to catch as many different Pokemon as you can, because each individual Pokemon has its own level, ability, temperament, and special skills. And that's why it's important to keep chipping in with feeding Snorlax throughout the day and also getting a good night's sleep, because it balances it out. If you're lacking on one side, then when you multiply them together, it's not going to be that great. So if you're not feeding Snorlax, but you're getting good sleep, great. You know, that's healthy for you, but you're not going to get a good score when it's multiplied. If you only check in to feed Snorlax, but you don't measure your sleep, you're not going to get that high Drowzee score in order to get the Pokemon in. So when you've done your research and you're in the camp, you will see all these different Pokemon sleeping, and each of the Pokemon has distinct different sleep styles. And it's not necessarily which Pokemon you can get, it's about collecting the sleep styles of said Pokemon, and some are a lot rarer than others. And the way we get those rarer sleep styles is if we've had a good sleep, if Snorlax is on a high Snorlax score, and also with the use of different things like incense or special berries or special items that we can get in our camp in order to try to promote different sleep styles amongst different Pokemon. So once we've registered their sleep styles, we can then feed them biscuits in order to increase their friendship points. And once we get enough friendship points with certain Pokemon, they will want to join our team. And then we can have them as part of our group in our Pokemon box. We can swap them out, we can name them, we can level them up using their specific candies and dream shards, a type of currency that we earn whilst playing the game. And as we level them up, they get new abilities, they get new skills. Some may increase Snorlax's power at a random point. Some may get better berries. They may find more ingredients. Basically, they will just help you out with increasing Snorlax's score so that when you can get a good night's sleep, you get a better Drowzee score to get more Pokemon in, and the cycle continues. Now, I have to say, I'm not the best of sleepers. Personally, I'm quite a night owl, but this has been really nice to jump in and be like, yeah, I want to see which Pokemon I can get. And it's actually given me a little bit more structure over the last few weeks, which I'm really grateful for. And there's this function in the alarm setting, which has been a function of different sleep cycle apps for many years, but to wake you when you're at the shallowest point of your sleep, so it's less groggy for you to wake up. That has been a big help as well, giving you a 20-minute window for it to measure when you're like, oh, that's a great time to wake you up. You feel a bit more refreshed, you feel a bit more good, and then you can turn your phone over and save that research for later. So when you're a little bit more awake, you can go through the research patterns and play the game, collect the Pokemon, collect the berries, all of that. And it just feels really nice to then see which new Pokemon you found, to see what you've unlocked now, to see your Snorlax grow, to become more friendly with them, to level up your Pokemon, to swap out your teams, to get better berries, to get better ingredients, and tailor the game how you like to play. And it really feels like you're contributing to something. And so at the end of the week, once your Snorlax is full and it's big as it's gonna be, and you wave goodbye to it, it's a shame. But then you welcome a new one, a lot smaller, ready to be fed, ready to be observed, ready to be studied, and it is just a lot of fun to do. Now, a few little notes that I've taken whilst playing. Shinies will appear. I have a shiny Sudowoodo. There was also a shiny Snorlax, which I was really happy with. I was like, oh great, I've got a week with this shiny Snorlax. That's pretty cool. Snorlaxes have favorite berries. You can see in the box next to them which berries they enjoy, so you can make sure to try and fill them up as best you can with those berries. Getting 8 hours will give you the maximum points. You can't just leave your phone on all day on sleep mode to like farm points. There is a limit, so you do have to have a sort of sleeping pattern in place. You can have it on for your night's sleep, and then I used it for a nap at one point, and the game said, oh, you've only got about 2 hours left of your quota to get points on. If you sleep over that, you're not going to get points for that. It's like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Instead of just like leaving your phone there and farming, you actually have to mitigate your time whilst using it so that it's a fair experience for playing it. Hitting the same bedtime each night will get you more points. It will get you medals. It'll get you more achievements. You can look at all your medals in one place, and you just get more points for doing so. If you catch the same Pokemon, you can send it off to the professor in exchange for that Pokemon's candies, which you can then use to level up a Pokemon of the same type, or use it to evolve that Pokemon. And because this isn't really a game of such, having events and all these unlockables and that, it doesn't really work, because all you're meant to do is just chip in throughout the day, just check in, feed your Snorlax, come back out and use it to sleep. But there are some limited events that are coming out. Recently announced on one of the Pokemon Live Directs was a good sleep day, where on the full moon that's coming up, they're going to give double points for sleeping in case you weren't able to sleep because of the full moon, which I think is a really clever thing to do, because if you for some reason can't get a good night's sleep, it's a shame to have lost out on your progress. So having these odd days here and there where you can get double points for that, it just really helps to keep up that streak, keep up your research with the Snorlax, and hopefully find, collect, and grow your Pokédex. So there we go, folks. That was just a little look and a little breakdown of Pokémon Sleep. Slightly different to the videos that I've been making thus far on the channel, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and let us know in the comments below, will you be having a go at this? Do you like the idea of catching Pokémon just because you slept? Making progress in the game whilst you're doing nothing but regenerating your body? Let us know down below. But for now, my friends, luck and more to you all, and catch you next time.